Hello, welcome to YouTube Success. This is what I think will be a short episode today, and it's really because I just wanted to talk about something that I went to Social Media Marketing World last week, and something that I got talking to a few people about, and I really think it's a mindset issue, but I think it applies to YouTube and to creating video content in general. And it's something that we probably as human beings try to hide quite often, and that is our weirdness, right? And if you're sitting there thinking, what do you mean? I didn't think I was weird. Or maybe people at school, when you was at school, they said you're a bit of a weirdo. I know I heard that time and time again when it came to being an engineering geek or tech geek, or being obsessed with the Spice Girls as I was as a teenager. I cannot believe I've just said that on my YouTube podcast. I was in the Spice Girls fan club. That's how obsessed I was. Anyway, let's get back to topic. But it's about embracing your weirdness, because what happens is when you create content, when you create video, when you show up online in any way, we have this idea that we need to be professional. Now, if you're creating a podcast and you're in the professional services industry, maybe you're a independent financial advisor, or a regulated industry, I would say, something like that, then of course there's a difficulty of how you show up when it's concerned with the professional side of your business. If you're in a regulated industry, it's much harder for you. But if you're not, which I think is the majority of people, then you get to embrace your weirdness. And not only embrace it, but people want to see you're weird. They want to know the things about you that are a little bit odd. And I give you an example of this. I had a call today in one of the masterminds that I run, and we talked about the fact that when I used to move house, if I was moving house, we would do all our normal checks about the house, what schools are in the area, all that kind of thing. And one of the things that I would always do is check the internet. At the time in the UK, broadband wasn't as popular. Wireless was even just getting started, so you wouldn't have a wireless router always. It was just a standard router, and then eventually you would add your own wireless router and that kind of thing. So probably in the last 10, 12, 15 years. And I would check the internet because so much of my life was based around having a good internet connection that I needed to ensure that I had a good connection when I got there. And this might sound stupid, I knew friends that would move house and move around the houses and not check those things because it wasn't as important to them. Well, I'm getting notifications everywhere. I hope you can't hear my notifications, but even if you couldn't, you now know that they're happening to me. I try when I do these podcasts to make sure there's no notifications, but alas, I forgot today. So I would check these things, and I realised it was just something that was a little bit weird. Like most people that I knew that had houses, they wouldn't go and check if the internet existed. But for me, it was super important. And the woman I spoke to on my mastermind, she was talking about the fact that she was going to a hotel and she was looking for Chromecast. The hotel must have Chromecast because she wanted to watch Netflix or something. She didn't want to have to, watch whatever the hotel TV. I don't know if you've been to a hotel, but most of the TV is rubbish, especially if you're in another country and they've not got English channels, or if you're in America and they've got like loads of news channels and not much else on there. She wanted Chromecast and she didn't want to share it. She said it's a bit weird to share that she's doing that kind of thing. And I'm like, no, you need to embrace your weird. The weirdness is what people connect with. So when you're thinking about creating content, whether it's Facebook Live content, or in this instance for YouTube Success, YouTube content, I want you to really think about what is it about you, what is it about your personality, about what you love and hate in the world that makes you a little bit weird, and how can you incorporate that? And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the things behind me. Now, I'll just give you one example. There's a little red guy behind me here. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, it's a statue that I picked up of Download the dog. Well, I don't know if the dog has a proper name, but I called him Download the dog. And Download the dog, it's got a rock jacket on that says Download on it. And if you don't know what Download is, it's a festival in Donington Park. It used to be called Monsters of Rock in the UK. It's called Download Festival now, and it's about 25 minutes drive from my house, so we get a taxi to it. In June, it's a rock festival, and we love festivals. So when I was there and I was at this festival, we obviously, because we get a taxi back, I was like, I can buy this and it will survive the journey home. If I was camping there, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But there was this little statue and I was like, oh my God, that'll make a great thing for my YouTube videos, because I want people to know if they know what that is, that is. But I want people to know that I go to festivals, music festivals, and I love festivals. I love music. This is one of my main passions, is going to gigs, going to festivals. I love standing in a field, muddy field, with a beer in my hand, all that kind of stuff. And so when you look at people's sets, just like the sets that I've got here, you can see the things that are weird about them. I've got King of Video at the top there. Just behind me, this is a picture. Again, I'll try to describe it if you're watching the podcast. I've got a little picture. My wife, she bought this from Etsy. It's a little picture of some legs and some Converse. Maybe it's some Vans shoes on. I wear Vans everything. You see I've got a Vans top on now. And there's all these little signals around. I say clean your lens, that's behind me as well. I say clean your lens every month on my Facebook, and it's a bit of a running joke now. People say it back to me. You know, like there's all these little signals, and if you watch people's YouTube channels, you'll see that they've got their own behind them. I met a guy at Social Media Marketing World this week that had those pop figures, and he had all these rock icons, and it was like I think he said Motorhead or AC/DC or someone, and when he was showing me his video, I saw these little bobbleheads, and I was like, oh, you know what I mean, the little figurines, the like pop figures or something they're called. But when I saw it, it was like immediately I was able to have a conversation with him about it, and that was his weirdness. He was actually his name's Mitch. He does bet picks. He runs a thing called Pick Dogs. We're gonna have him on the podcast actually in a couple of months. He did, in less than 3 years, 44,000 videos, which is just insane, on his YouTube channel. I'm going to get him on. He's a fascinating guy. Definitely a Marmite kind of guy as well, by his own admission. But he had these pop figures, and I was able to look at the video, and he was just showing me what the kind of video that he does. But I saw it immediately had some kind of connection with him, because it was a rock figure behind him. And so that's Mitch embracing his weird. He's saying, look, these are the things that I enjoy. These are the things that are part of me. So I want you to think about this, not only in the way in which you show up, but I want you to think about it in the scene that you create. In the film world, in the video world, they call it mise en scène, which is in the scene, I think it is in French, mise en scène, in the scene. So everything you decide to put in your scene, I think Alfred Hitchcock was the person we studied at the time, was a master of this. Hitchcock and Stanley Kubrick were the ones that often get studied because they were meticulous in putting everything in the scene. I can't watch a movie now without seeing some kind of inanimate object and going, well, I know that's going to be important later on. If you think about the spinning top in that video, let me know in the comments if you know what film I'm on about when I say spinning top. It's completely escaped me. But all these things are important. What's in the scene represents you. It tells something. This last one I'll say. This little thing behind me is a picture of a Foo Fighters song. So it's the Foo Fighters emblem. If you can't see, there's a little bit of reflection behind me, but there's a Foo Fighters graphic there, and it's got the words of the song Everlong. And Everlong was my first dance at my wedding, me and my wife's first dance. So that's a picture of a band that I love. The graphic is the words of Everlong, which was from my first dance at my wedding. It means so much to me. But again, people that see it will see, oh my God, Matt likes the Foo Fighters. And it gets another connection that we can make, but it's something that's personal to me. All right, so today's episode, not really a tactic or a strategy for YouTube, other than the fact that you need to embrace your weird. Now, if you've liked this episode, don't forget to rate the podcast. If you think it's useful for anyone that you've watched this and you think they should embrace their weird more, then please share it with your friends. Head over to my YouTube channel, give it a subscribe, find the video and share it. It's in its own little playlist on YouTube on the podcast tab, and you'll see this. And it's great to go over and watch it, actually. If you're listening to it on the podcast, I mean, I know you might be listening to it while you're walking, while you're driving, like I listen to podcasts, but you get an opportunity to watch it as well because we take the time to film them at the same time. All right, thanks so much. My name is Matthew Hughes, King of Video. See you on the next episode.